Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on continuous improvement, turning sticky notes into teamwork and quality assurance. My name is Beth Rugg from Ithaca College. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for SIGUX and will be helping facilitate this event. Ashley Weiss from Iowa State is the main presenter. Before we jump into the webinar, let's go over some information about GoToWebinar and some rules for the road. By default, all attendees are muted. In order to manage conversation, not have people talking on top of one another, we'll be using the hand-raising feature of GoToWebinar. Could everyone raise your hand now so you can see how this tool works and so that I can know you understand? Thanks, everybody. Great. When you have a question or a comment, raise your hand and I can unmute you. Or if you don't want to use your microphone, you can always use the question feature and send a chat message or question to me, the organizer. So right now, can you just go ahead and say hi to me using that question box so that I know that you are familiar with it? Great, thank you so much. We are recording this session, so within the next few days it will be available on the SIGUX website. And I think hopefully you can all see the link that I sent you. Ashley has made these slides available already on her website. So I'm going to turn it over to Ashley. Go ahead, Ashley, you can start your presentation.
All right, hello everyone. Like Beth said, this is continuous improvement, turning sticky notes into teamwork and quality assurance. Just wanted to come up, kind of briefly touch base on Iowa State and kind of the services we offer through IT services. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is an overview of our structure, or our central IT department. We're broken down into 5 different groups. We've got customer services, service and operations, which do a lot of our mainframe support, Exchange servers, virtualization, things like that. We have academic technology, which is housing our Blackboard and online learning support groups. We also have administrative services, like everyone else. We have to have some financial officers and different administrative tasks involved. And then we have a network and security group, as well as communications. They're kind of all in one chunk. They manage our Ethernet, our wireless, our website, all the security across campus. We do have 31,000 users or students and 6,000 faculty and staff members. IT services really is infused into all of the aspects of everyday life. We're maintaining, like I said, the network. We're managing site license software, university web portal, Exchange servers, and then we also have SciMail, which most of you are probably thinking SciMail. Our mascot is Sci, the cyclone, and we have Gmail for apps for education, so we've called our Gmail service SciMail. And then we also have classroom learning technologies that we oversee. So the department is really responsible for leading and ensuring Iowa State's information technology support in the university's mission to excel at teaching and learning, research and creative endeavors, outreach, and then university leadership. So the Solution Center itself, you can see, is under customer services. We are broken down into 2 different groups. We have an employee technical services group and a student technical services group. The Solution Center as a whole is the single point of contact for most faculty and staff, and then all of the students. Faculty and staff that pay for support go under the Employee Technical Services realm. That Employee Technical Services group is made up of 12 full-time employees who are answering phones, responding to emails, taking in customers who are paying for support for their handheld devices, laptops, desktops, basically anything that they can touch, we're going to go ahead and support, printers, servers, things like that. And then the student technical services realm is really helping those faculty and staff members that aren't paying for support. We do best effort support for them with about 19 FTEs for our Student Technical Services group, and I actually manage that group and work on the Employee Technical Services group hand in hand. So throughout the presentation, you'll see that I'll refer to it as the Solution Center as a whole. That is really what we're known as outside of our department. So I'll just go ahead and refer to it as the Solution Center. Are there any questions so far about the university or our support structure? Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go forward. So like I said, the Employee Technical Services is going to support Core Plus customers, which are paying a monthly fee or an annual fee. Their administrative offices like the President's Office, Human Resources, Financial Aid, different departments across campus, including like Student Health or the Horticulture Department. We also do some cross-training and support for different colleges across campus. So we do a lot of things with our College of Human Sciences, with our Liberal Arts and Sciences College, and then our Engineering College. So we really have a wide support range. And then, of course, like we have the core or limited support, which is different research groups. And then we have students and emeritus faculty members that we're helping just with the account management aspect, resetting passwords, managing email delivery, things like that. So back when I created this, we were really a new group together. All of our employees, we had two separate realms of support. We had the core and the core plus. And even within that Employee Technical Services support realm, we had two different groups. We had the people who were taking the first level calls, and then we were having people who were getting those calls, just creating tickets for the second level group. And that second level group was not necessarily people that wanted to assist and help others. So we had people that didn't have the same skills. We had very low morale. We had people that were overthinking, and there were a lot of uncertainty issues to budget. We had recently restructured our management, so the leadership had changed from one person managing a few people to a whole different person managing 12 people. So it was a big change for us. We also relocated, so we were all within an earshot of each other. We went from being spread out into about 3 or 4 different large areas into one large area. So we are actually now all together. We have some cubicles and then some separate offices. So it was a big change just in the relocation. We felt like this was a good time to start something new. We really wanted to be a single point of contact, and we were for students and for outside faculty and staff, but we weren't necessarily the single point of contact, as we were getting third level people and administrators getting support calls wanting to have direct support, and that was something that we were trying to help avoid. So we really needed to make sure that our services were out there, available, and people trusted us. So that's what we needed to start working on. When we first sat down and decided that we wanted to do some, improvement around our area, we had to start with the basics because we had different knowledge and support structure. We had new people. We had people that had been there for 5 years and people that had been there for 20 years. A lot of expectations were being made, but not necessarily everybody knew what the expectations were of themselves or management. So we really wanted to figure that out. We also wanted to, of course, reduce the amount of time that the customer waits for the service, create a team atmosphere, improve our quality. So some people were getting phone calls, taking phone calls, and they'd ask for certain people because they had gotten better support or better quality previously, and we really wanted to make sure that that stopped and that everybody had an equal amount of, quality or knowledge, and really, of course, gain trust throughout the team as well as the IT services department. A lot of times in support structures, the help desk is the face of the IT group. And that being said, sometimes it's overlooked. So we really wanted to mend the ties to make sure that the department and, of course, the university knew that we were there and we were accountable and dependable. We also wanted to improve morale, of course, with some restructuring and everybody moving and some uncertainties because of the budget. Morale was low, and it was really an us versus them type of relationship. We also wanted to start total contact ownership. So somebody coming in to the Solution Center with a handheld device that was an issue, they would be able to troubleshoot that issue themselves, and they would be the one owning that ticket in the end. Or having a phone call come in. Every day we had about 2 or 3 people on the phones, and they would take phone calls and then assign it to the team, to the team's queue. And more often than not, people were assuming that one another were taking certain tickets, or they were cherry picking, as some people would say, the easy tickets first. And we really wanted to make sure that that customer was going to get the best customer service possible, because they didn't need to wait. They wanted their problem resolved then. So we are really removing that first level support into first and second level, because the person taking the call after implementing this total contact ownership was also the one that's going to be troubleshooting the issue and resolving the issue. So they have really one-stop shop for addressing issues. Okay, so where did we come up with these ideas? Like I said before, we had an us versus them mentality. Our former manager didn't really have the energy to deal with it. And our new manager, of course, being new in the management structure, really wanted to take charge and erase that us versus them mentality. It was a perfect time to implement some new changes, because our team was being restructured and our positions were being restructured. So we really had a new idea of what was expected of us based on our different position titles. Okay, so let's talk about the process. We created multiple 30-minute sessions with at least half of the team in each session. We scheduled meetings in different rooms, and then we brought sticky notes. I'm going to refer to them as sticky notes and not as Post-it notes. I don't want a copyright law, infringement on my case. But we gave everyone an opportunity to work together. We had 2 people in each group or team, and then we rotated after each scenario. Because we had that us versus them mentality, we wanted to make sure that everybody really changed it up, and they worked with some people that they wouldn't have necessarily wanted to work with before. And we really did see that it started mending those, fences that had otherwise been, torn down, and we had issues before, but this was really a good starting point to fix some of those things. Each team was given sticky notes and a marker, and then the teams were asked to provide different questions, different scenarios first. So we started out with expectations of each job duty. And when I say each job duty, I mean the full-timer was going to be on the phones. They would be on a phones day, or that one full-timer would be in charge of responding to all emails that day, or one person is in charge of managing the group the day if the regular manager was out of the office. So we really needed to break down expectations of each job duty. And then we also went into previous calls that year We found that this was a really great way to improve some of the quality and create some quality assurance forms and some continuous improvement forms. So we based it on some of the issues that we had the previous year, different troubleshooting questions, things like that. So they were given 2 minutes to work together and create as many post-it notes as possible. After the time was up, each team then submitted the sticky notes to the manager and was able to discuss amongst the group each sticky note. So we categorized them into different groups, things that we would ask first, if they were troubleshooting questions, things that we would need to put in the ticket to make sure that there's enough information, because we were also having issues like that. And then once the sticky notes were discussed, we had a lot of group discussion afterwards, and we actually added a bunch of sticky notes just in our group conversations. So we actually found that for our purposes, the sticky notes were a great idea. A lot of times, somebody would be able to write something on the sticky notes that they wouldn't necessarily say out loud. And so they were kind of protected because all of the sticky notes were the same color. Every marker was the same color. So they could have written something down and not be judged on, one of their answers. All right, so our implementation, we created different improvement sessions. This is what we called it, improvement sessions, based on what we do, what the expectations are, common calls and what to ask for, how to find answers. We're having a lot of issues with our knowledge base going away and not having another knowledge base. So we really had to start over with how to find answers and who to go to. And then what tools we should be using. Since we had a lot of new people, they didn't necessarily know who to go to for answers, and they didn't know how to use the tools, or didn't even know that some of the tools existed. So half the things that we came up with were really new ideas of how to train a new person. So it was good for implementing it in that group, but we've also kind of moved forward with this as well, so we'll talk about that at the end. We rotated groups. The manager did proctor the sessions, didn't necessarily contribute, and they were all scenario-based. So my sticky note is supposed to say, are you on or off campus? But apparently that doesn't read correctly, so I apologize. I do want to mention that some of the expectations questions, we did have to throw some things out because there were some unreasonable expectations, and so we discussed the unreasonable expectations as well. And then we talked about what we expect of our manager. And actually, the manager did not proctor that session, but instead had somebody else come in. So it was really nice to talk amongst ourselves, just as employees working together, about the expectations we have for our manager. So that was a really nice session. Okay, so we're going to try it out. We're going to have a few people, if you want to use the chat or the questions section, we're going to do a scenario. So based on this question or this statement, I'm not able to get my email messages on my iPhone. Can you help? This is one of the questions that we use, and we asked people to use sticky notes and to go ahead and come up with some troubleshooting questions. So if you all want to go ahead and try to write in some questions, that would be great.
Let's see, we have them flying in. Mo's wondering, was this working before? If so, when was the last time it worked? Steve suggests, have you had email set up on your iPhone before? Great. Are you connected to Wi-Fi?
Wonderful.
Any other thinkers out there?
Well, I went ahead and put on, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, here, a few more came in. Does your iPhone have a passcode set? How many emails do you have in your inbox?
Wonderful. Those are all great troubleshooting questions, and a lot of them are duplicates from what we had. So based on some of the Post-it notes that we got, people were asking, you know, are you using a wireless connection or a data connection? When was the last message you received or the last time you changed your password? Are you able to open up a web browser and go to Google? Can you restart the device? And reviewing the server settings. So we had a lot of different things that came up in the sticky notes that weren't necessarily things that everybody thought of, but definitely everybody internalized, so that was nice. We definitely had some things come up that were not great troubleshooting techniques, and we did a lot of learning from each other. So there were definitely some places where we were able to learn and some places where we were able to agree to disagree. So let's do another scenario. Help, I can't get logged into my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and have you guys write in the questions again.
Rob suggests, when was the last time you were able to log in? Caps lock? Have you logged into this computer before? Can you describe for me what you see on your screen? Have you changed your password recently? Do you receive an error message? If so, what was it? Are you a current employee or student?
Wow, those are great. And a lot of them are the same as what I had here. So yeah, basing questions or basing scenarios on the common calls that we got were very helpful. We also based some of the questions and scenarios on some calls that we had received that oftentimes go awry or go wrong. So that's very nice. We were able to figure out as a team how to resolve those type of issues and have since improved some of our quality. So that has been nice. So here's another example of some of the results that we got. So this was to the question of what do you need to document in the ticket. We were having a lot of problems with either people putting in tickets or putting in tickets that were very vague and they did not capture what the actual issue was or who the issue was about or anything about the computer. So each sticky note that we had come in is up here on the PowerPoint presentation. And then, of course, you can see that we got some duplicates. So when did the problem start? What type of software or version information? What operating system? Things like that. So some of the things that you wouldn't necessarily think to put in the ticket, we did go ahead and enter in sticky notes. And this is the type of information that we later on used to create our quality assurance form. Because this was really based on our internal group and kind of expectations that we set for each other, it was really easy to agree that this should be what we used to base our quality assurance form on. So here's another one. We did expectations of the group. You can see that these are really based on our team, and like I said, we had low morale. We didn't communicate very well, so you'll see things like that. We also had issues with lunch coverage, so we really need to define our expectations for taking time off and expectations for lunch coverage, and then expectations for each phone or email day. So based on the sticky notes we got, we were able to define some of our expectations. And this is some of the things that we had come up with. I'm not necessarily going to read through all of this, but you can use it later on, and I have some supporting documentation that we can use. But we really defined what the available time is. And a lot of times people were logging into our phone queue, but were auxing out. And not being necessarily available. So we did have to break down the fact that if you were on phones, you were there at least 6 hours of the day, auxed into the phone, taking phone calls. And we did base it on, your total time logged in minus the total time auxed out, and then added in the total scheduled for meetings in Outlook. So if you had a meeting in based on your calendar, we did take that into account. That was something that we had to add later on because there are oftentimes days where we would be scheduled on phones or to do email, and we weren't necessarily on the phone or responding to emails. So it was because of meetings. So we had some trial and error here, just like any other group. But we really were able to define a lot of things. We created this expectation document, and I'll go into show you a little bit more here. We created this expectation document and then sent it out to the group. And then we had a couple of weeks to kind of look at it, chew it over, and kind of give ourselves a couple of days to practice this or see what our numbers would look like to make sure that it was something that was achievable. And everybody agreed that it was. So we did go ahead and implement this, and it's oftentimes referred to as our expectation document. It's something that's shared on our network drive that we can all refer back to if we need to. But it's also really great for our new employees. We have some new full-time staff members that coming into a situation and not necessarily knowing what to expect, this document has been great for them. They understand, what to do if they want to take a day off, or if they're sick in the morning, or, what does it mean 6 hours available time. So that was a really great document to refer back to. We also, in the process of this, created what's called our backup manager. And that's when our manager, who I'm sure oftentimes everybody knows, goes to meetings or has a day of meetings, and you see them 8 o'clock, and you do not see them again until 4:45 when it's just about time to leave. So we created a backup manager role who was in charge of creating our critical event logs. That's what the CEL stands for, which is basically an RSS feed of outages and issues going on campus, and then creating our pre-messages for the phones. They're also in charge of making sure that there's tickets out there that are assigned to certain people, and that it's, none of the tickets are being overlooked. Reminder, we are doing total contact ownership at this point, so that's really easy to do. And then we also are in charge of making sure that the tickets have been updated. So we don't go at least, one business day without contacting the customer or letting them know what our process is or what we're doing, or if we're waiting on something. And then really that person is the go-to person for any other problems, technical issues, staffing issues, or external issues. We've had a few times where calls needed to be escalated and our manager was not around. So this backup manager role, if they were the person for the day, they took that call, they documented it, and then if they were unable to resolve it, of course, they took it to the manager, but they were expected to document and deal with that issue. So we've had a lot of success with that. We also implemented an 8:15 phone team meeting where we all kind of get together. We do have a board where everybody signs up for lunch now, so we have documented lunch times. And then we also have a whiteboard where we write down what meetings we have for the day, or if we're taking an hour off during the afternoon for a doctor's appointment or something like that. So we kind of go through what happened the day before, if there are any continued outages overnight, or if something did happen overnight, or any expected maintenance on any of the servers that we might get phone calls about. So that phone team meeting every morning is really nice to kind of get the day started off right so everybody knows what's going on. Then we had to create expectations for what to do when we're not necessarily scheduled for the day. So we call this on our systems or training day. Our first duty of the day, of course, is to pick up coverage if anyone is out sick. And then if you're not doing that, you're going to work on any of the tickets that are assigned to you, keeping up with the total contact ownership, doing any systems administration work. Our new manager has been really great with not only improving our quality, but giving us the skills and the ability to move forward in our careers and giving us some system administration work. And then offering training, creating trainings like this, or trainings that we would give to full-timers, or training others on a specialty that one person has, other than, if it's something specific to work. We also do have some training videos that we have access to. We have Skillsoft, lynda.com, things like that. So we were able to base our expectations on that as well. All right, so after all of our sticky note presentations and scenarios were finished, we typed them all up. We sent documented notes to all of the group. Some of the information was even documented in our knowledge base moving forward. The different questions to ask on certain things, where to find certain things on our website or who to contact. And then we had an idea of what training was needed for tools. We found out that half of the people that we had in our full-time structure didn't necessarily know much about our network support. So we've really been training up on networking and our phone system, things like that. We were also able to then create our quality assurance form. We started some one-on-one sessions with management. So at first, for about the first year, we did a weekly one-on-one session with our boss, which was just a half-an-hour sit down and discuss things that were occurring over the past week, different tasks or job responsibilities that you were doing or projects, things about system administration work. It's a really great time to sit down and figure out what you're doing, so things can line up. We were also able to implement this exercise into weekly staff meetings. So our boss, if there's ever a question that he needs answered and wants to get complete feedback, we'll see him walking down to our meeting room with a bunch of sticky notes and markers. And we know that we're going to be doing the sticky note exercise, which is great because we have a lot of great feedback. And there's really no wrong answer. And if there is, he removes it before it's even said. So that's quite nice. We also found that having the ongoing training has really helped generate synergy. And I know everybody hates the word synergy, but it really did amongst our team, as well as improving the quality of troubleshooting when assisting the different customers. And then, of course, we all started to enjoy each other. We did different things, improving the morale and quality of our work. We'd have potlucks, or after work one night we'd all go out for a drink or something like that, or dinner. And it's really helped our teamwork and provide definitely a more fun work environment. We don't have near as many sick days now, people calling in sick, as we did before. So we've really seen a lot of positive feedback, whether it be verbal or nonverbal. All right, so I'm going to show you the quality assurance form here. I'm going to show you what we had before and then after. So let me go ahead and get to my screen here. So this is going to be the quality assurance form that we had before we started doing these trainings. That's definitely not it. I apologize. All right, so you can see it's very small. It was really, 6 or 7 different topics. It was very broad and not necessarily something that was easy to use. So we did come up with a new one, and it's something that we all created together and approved together. So this is what we have now. Of course, we still have things like greeting and troubleshooting, but we added things like closing and the customer focus. We really wanted to make sure that the customer was getting, good service, that they knew that we were meeting their needs. We also added in here some call documentation, a little bit more specific in the incident descriptions, things like that, or with the work log as we call it. And then if the ticket was filled out correctly or assigned to the correct team. So it is a lot more than what we had before. And like I said, these are all something that I can make available to you guys online. But those were our 2 forms, the before and after form.
Ashley, we do have a question.
Oh, okay.
Who fills out the quality assurance form, the manager, and then how often is it used?
Sure. The manager is the one doing the quality assurance based on that form. It's very random, so of course when he's not in his meetings from 8 to 5. But really it's happening, I'd say almost on a weekly basis. I'd like to say daily, but it's not possible. So weekly, I believe he's doing at least 2 different phone calls per person. And that's saying a lot because we do have a number of full-timers here. He's also creating a quality assurance form based on some sticky note conversations we've had about our email process because we don't necessarily have a quality assurance form for our email handling. So it is the manager, and he's doing it a couple times a week.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay.
None that I see right now. Oh, here's one.
Oh.
Let's see. Then are the quality assurance results shared in one-on-ones and or with the team?
They are shared within the one-on-one group. They were shared within the team at first, but we had some issues because we could tell, just because we're all within an earshot of one another, who the manager was talking about. And it wasn't necessarily something that needed to be said in front of everybody, so we did change it to the one-on-one groups. Again, trial and error is really, helpful for us. But in the one-on-one sessions, we definitely did quality assurance feedback, and we were able to record the calls and listen to the calls together and kind of discuss, what led to the issue that happened or what was positive about the call. So the feedback has been great. Any other questions?
None that I see right now.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and go forward. So we'll talk a little bit about the results. People were finally working together. It took a while, but we could see that there was some, bonding that was taking place. Our customer survey responses that were coming in were completely different from before. It's not to say that we were bad before, we just didn't all have the same skill set. And now our skills are more the same across the board. Again, with the total contact ownership, the customers are really getting better service. They know that there's one person dealing with their issue, and if they have questions, they can call in and ask that person, which has been really great. Before, they would call in and we'd kind of have to read through the ticket and figure out what's going on. we also have a willingness to help across the board. So before we had the us versus them mentality, and people weren't really looking to help each other, but now that has changed. We do have a lot of different feedback that goes through one another, or if there's a call that's going on and we can see that somebody's going in the wrong direction, it's really easy to just kind of walk over and give advice or feedback, and it's not taken the wrong way this time. So it's definitely better. And of course, our employees started building relationships, whether that be because of outside, morale-boosting events, or if it was the sticky note training. We don't know, but either way, it was all based on this process and moving forward. So we had some really great results. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any other questions. This website here, the awees.public.iastate.edu, does have this PowerPoint presentation as well as the supporting documentation, the quality assurance forms, and then it gives a timeline based on how we proceeded with this. So I'll go ahead and pull that website up here. You'll see it's got the abstract, PowerPoint, and then a zip file with supporting documentation.
Actually, just Steve is letting you know that some great ideas. Thank you. He's got to run to a different meeting.
Oh, okay.
If anybody else has questions, just feel free to chat them in or send them in via chat. Actually, I know I was just wondering, so this seems like it was primarily directed at your full-timers?
Yes.
Is that correct? Do you have students that work at your help desk?
Yeah, we have about 50 students that I work with, and actually I just took over, so we're starting our own expectation process, and we're using the sticky note method, as we're calling it these days. So when I very first took over, I kind of wanted to get an idea of what they expect of each other and what they expect of management. And then we're also having some quality assurance forms recreated based on different troubleshooting techniques that the students have been doing. So we're using this in other groups as well.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Let's see, Carol has one. How does total contact ownership work with employees that have different skill sets? They may not be able to resolve the issue.
That's a really great question. At first we did have that. What we were doing was basing it off of, as long as they were taking the call, they would still be the owner of the call, but they would go to the other person if it wasn't necessarily their strong skills that they were comfortable with. So we did have some cross-training that was going on at the same time. So there would be a quick little tutorial on how to do something, and then later on, that person, when they were on their training day, would go back to the support person who was having questions and help them out and understand a little bit more. So it really opened up the development side of things as well.
Well, I don't see that any other questions have come in. So I think you've done a great job explaining everything, Ashley. I really appreciate it. As we mentioned earlier, this has been recorded, so if you would like to share this with one of your colleagues, we will make it available on the SIGUX website in just a few days. Or you can certainly email me or Ashley if you have any additional questions. But, oh, you're getting applause and you're getting thanks. So,
well, thank you, everyone,
thank you,
for
Ashley.
coming.
Thank you for sharing your ideas.
Yep.
Bye-bye.